All right, let's talk about the 2023 film Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I picked this movie as a follow-up to the first Spider-Verse movie, which we watched last week, which was fantastic. And this movie follows in its footsteps pretty well. Basically, it's literally just like a straight-up sequel to the first one. We've got Miles has developed a lot in his spider abilities, and after the collider thing exploded, one of the scientists that was working on it got turned into the Spot, which is like the main antagonist of the whole movie. And they have the Spider Society, and that's like in a different dimension, and they go around trying to encounter anomalies and stuff, like people that shouldn't be in the right dimensions or whatever because of that collider explosion. Gwen being part of that because she got recruited after her fucking dad kind of like called her out. Doesn't really matter. She's part of it now. They go around trying to hunt anomalies. Gwen is sent to Miles' world to basically investigate the Spot because he's like teleporting around and that's not really supposed to be happening. He eventually does go and go around and attempt to gain power by finding more colliders in different universes, which he does, and he goes to some India universe, gets a shit ton of power there. Miles follows Gwen to that place, and then because of that, he stops a canon event from happening, which sends that world into a downward spiral, which then takes us to the Spider Society thing, where they give Miles the breakdown on how canon events work and how all of this shit is connected, how the whole universe in general works. And then they, of course, break the news that, of course, his canon event hasn't happened, and that's what the Spot's trying to do, is basically do his canon event, kill his dad. He's not cool with that, so he fucking runs away and tries to stop this from happening. Big old chase scene. He escapes. He gets sent to the wrong dimension, though, because his blood is from the spider of the dimension that he got teleported to incorrectly. So he's in the wrong dimension. He's captured by himself, who is now the Prowler in that dimension. And the Spot's still doing its own thing in the actual dimension. And everybody's kind of trying to figure out what the fuck's going on at the end. And that's basically the second movie.
Dude, massive missed opportunity for you to not start off your summary with, alright, let's do this one last time.
Dude, no. Anyways, this movie is gorgeous. And it has a really good score and all that stuff. From an artistic perspective, it's fucking peak. But I think the writing falls pretty far behind the first movie for me. I think the pacing kind of sucks. I don't like that it's not really a complete movie. I don't like movies that set up stuff a lot.
I do think that's the biggest detractor for this film. The fact that it's one half of an actual film, this very much so feels like, don't worry, we're gonna finish it at some point, guys. Just enjoy what you have, but eventually we're gonna, put a nice little bow on this one.
Yeah, for me, this movie, I think the biggest gripe I have, there's a lot of little writing things. I wrote down a fucking ton of thoughts, and I can get into my massive list of things if we want to keep talking about this movie for half an hour.
Dude, I want to hear all the minutia. I will say, I definitely agree with Jackson on the part of I think that this movie is visually stunning in pretty much every way imaginable. It's a huge step up from the first film, which how does that even happen? When you see fucking Spider-Punk, how do they even accomplish that shit, okay? What the fuck is going on here? I will say, though, I'm probably going to catch some flack for this, but there are a few segments of the film where it's a little too much. It's a bit distracting for what they're trying to do. Specifically for me, it's when we're in Gwen's dimension and she's having those two big chats with her dad. I understand why they're they're doing this different shit with the framing and the color and shit like that. It's going whoa, look at this shit. This is a deep conversation. But it's just a little distracting for me for what the scene is trying to accomplish.
In fairness, we were watching it with a really fucking bad bit rate. Yeah. And that may have also been happening because I noticed throughout a lot of the scenes, things were getting muddied with the colors and everything was kind of blending together, which shouldn't be happening. That was a product of me having a really bad download of the file.
That could potentially be an issue there.
Yeah, go on.
Literally, my first fucking thought when after watching this movie, and the first thing I wrote down is art is starting to distract from the story. There are a lot of parts in this where they are doing things and making plot decisions where I'm clearly okay, the only reason we are doing this is because you want to show something really cool and beautiful looking, which cool. But then you have an incomplete story, so it feels like there are parts where we are sacrificing story for art, and in a movie, I don't know if we should be doing that.
Tater, your point actually leads into one of my biggest criticisms, which I got cut off trying to explain by Nico earlier.
I'm sorry.
That being that this movie mostly with its writing. I think the big thing I don't like about it is just not nearly as tight, and I think it focuses a lot of itself on fan service that it really just shouldn't be. Like, basically, once we get to the Spider Dimension, like, half the movie's just dedicated to fan service bullshit. And
unless you're a white male, right?
And I think honestly, people can like that type of shit. You know, people that are really invested in the Spider-Man lore or whatever. I'm sure we'll go crazy for that type of stuff. As a casual viewer like myself, I think it just was a bunch of wasted fucking time, especially for like a big, deep, like emotional thing. Miles like running away from the responsibility and trying to like help save his dad's life, and then he's just like a fucking comedy skit for half of the chase scene, basically. Just to introduce a bunch of wacky, cool characters, and they have like basically all of that in the spider scene. It's just not as tight. I think they just waste a lot of time on going, holy shit, the first movie is fucking insanely popular. Let's jack off the fans a lot because of that. And I'm not a huge fan of that.
I don't know, I kind of
completely
disagree on
agree.
that front, to be perfectly honest. I feel like that kind of shit didn't actually detract that much from the overall story. And like, whenever that kind of shit came up, it was very quick. And I don't feel like it happened enough times for it to like really detract that much from anything. Like the only one that really stands out to me is like, okay, this is probably a bit too much, is like the fucking like old cartoon sort of Spider-Man appearing on screen and like doing his little thing. Like that one maybe took up a little too much time, but I don't know. Overall, I feel like the fan service was perfectly fine for the film. Like when fucking Childish Gambino showed up and he was the Prowler, that shit was awesome. That was a fucking reference to Homecoming or whatever.
True.
Yeah, that was funny. I enjoyed that part. It's more than just like referencing other characters too. There's other stuff, but it's a little bit more meta about the movies as well, not just like the Spider-Man franchise as a whole. Basically most of my list is kind of just me talking about specific writing decisions that I think are weird. And I guess I could get into some of those if we want to.
Yeah, how do you guys feel about canon events, like that tool that they were using in the film?
I'm kind of torn on them because of the way they present them. Like, I guess I'll go into another thing here. A lot of people think this movie is like an anti-fascism thing. I see that a lot in reviews where people are like, okay, yeah, the Spider Society is a fascist society, and Miles and his like posse of people, you know, fucking Spider-Punk, whatever, they're the ones that are trying to like beat fascism in this course. And the canon event is kind of like something that's holding all of these people into this like authoritative society or whatever. I see that shit all the fucking time. And I kind of see a little bit where they're coming from, but not really. But the movie definitely tries to present the Spider Society as a bad thing as a whole, and the canon event as a bad thing as a whole. And it's a little weird to me.
I mean, like, when the canon event is broken in Moonbatten, we see that the universe starts getting destroyed.
Yeah.
Correct. And
So, like,
and also, of course, we saw
they're
the entire world destroyed when it happened to fucking Miguel or whatever his name is.
So unless they're gonna reveal that Miguel is somehow making the universes get destroyed because he's trying to enforce canon events, I think those arguments don't hold any water at all.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't agree with these arguments. I think they're fucking stupid. My big point is that
where's
the movie...
fascism? Fascism is just such a buzzword that you can throw around on literally anything.
I just said it because I saw people reviewing the movie with that shit all the time.
I didn't even see a Spider-Man dressed as an SS officer in this movie.
What do you mean? Nicolas Cage Spider-Man was in there.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, the movie definitely tries to portray the Spider Society as kind of a bad thing, obviously, because you have our main character running away from them, and they're really harsh about everything. At least that's kind of how I took it, and I'm not a huge fan of that, because they don't really give us much reason to actually disagree with Miguel on his whole hypothesis and everything. We've gotten specific evidence of literally horrible fucking things happening. They're completely in their right for assuming that something even worse is going to happen potentially with Miles. Maybe they're going to do something with him being an anomaly, and because of that he doesn't actually have like a legitimate canon event or something, even though they're detecting that's happening, I'm assuming, because they have a way of doing that. I don't fucking know. It's
literally just people are like, oh, Miguel is so mean to Miles.
Yeah, he's being harsh with him because he's
a fucking adult.
What happened. Yeah, he witnessed firsthand what can happen with a canon event, destroying an entire fucking universe, and you can only imagine probably the chain that would happen with Miles.
My problem with the setup of canon events is I'm worried it's made the story of the next movie predictable, because I feel like, just going off of this one, I'm predicting right now that what's going to happen in the next movie is that they discover that if they just save enough captains, they can create a new canon event. And that's how the next movie's going to end. And
I think it's definitely going to be something like they do stop the Canada event, but then they also find a way of stopping the Canada events from being a bad thing, potentially. It's going to be some happy-go-lucky ending.
Yeah. So I'm kind of worried that we now, have an over year-long wait where it's like we know how it's going to go. If they don't do that, then ignore this criticism entirely. Mm-hmm. But I really, once I finished the movie, I'm like, I feel like I just know how the next one is gonna end and what's gonna happen in it.
Yeah, to cut a long story short, to answer Nico's original question of what we think about Canada events, I think it's cool in concept, but I don't think this movie does it very well. I think it's a little sloppy.
Yeah, they're a little weird to me, because the idea behind it is that it's these are things that make Spider-Man Spider-Man, okay? They serve as a way of kind of illustrating this idea of you can't save everyone, Miles. It's just not possible. That's a big lesson Spider-Man needs to learn. But also at the same time, it's I don't know, it exists, and at the same time, it's not just about you're not allowed to say you can't save everybody, but you're not even allowed to try and save everybody, otherwise everything will get destroyed. It feels really weird and a strange message to me.
I think erasing free will from human characters is always going to be a weird decision in movies.
I don't know. That's a really weird thing to me. It's probably not a huge thing, but at the same time, it strikes me as a bit odd.
I think they are trying to set it up to be a meta commentary on the existence of Miles Morales himself.
Yeah, because he is
maybe that will be well done.
Yeah, potentially.
We'll see. I still have very high hopes for the sequel, and I'm really hoping they land this because I like the first movie a shit ton. I think this movie still is really good. And I guess I can get to the part where I just talk about random writing things, and you guys we can bounce ideas off each other with it.
Can I mention one more thing before you do that?
Sure.
I am wondering what exactly the nature of the meta commentary on Miles is. Is he an anomaly because he's one of the only race-swapped legacy characters that has actually proven to be popular? Is that where they're going?
Probably, because, Miles is a character who's had a lot of discourse throughout his whole history, just by the very nature of, he's the new Spider-Man, but also he's not white anymore. So, people have been up in arms about, well, he's not really Spider-Man, but, they're trying to show, hey, anyone can be Spider-Man, even this guy who you think isn't Spider-Man.
Okay, but why is he black and have electricity powers? Anyways,
I never thought about that, actually. Yeah. That's so funny, actually.
They always have fucking electricity powers. It's crazy. Anyways, I'm just gonna go down the list. I think this is mostly in ascending or descending order, I guess, of when they occur in the movie.
Not
chronological order, yeah. Okay, and you guys... A lot of these they can range from nitpicks to being really stupid, and you guys probably will disagree with me on the validity of a lot of these. Anyways, the first one here is me just being confused on why Gwen's dad would ever pull a gun on his daughter. He's not even willing to hear her out at all, and he's just immediately just going cop mode. I'm going to arrest my daughter without giving her any chance to defend herself whatsoever. Crazy to me.
Yeah.
He's in a crazy spot, he just got a crazy reveal. The person he's been hunting all this time is his fucking daughter. I understand that. He's in a bad headspace. But regardless of my...
He does lower it and then raise it again when she walks towards him.
Yeah. There are a lot of conflicting emotions here, this entire time he's thought that Spider-Man is an absolute menace who murdered Peter Parker and stuff like that. So he probably thinks to a certain degree she's a danger.
All I'm saying is my kid could commit fucking 9/11 and I'd still hear him out. Anyways, let's go on to the next one here. Why the fuck did Gwen and Miles go back to the party? Miles obviously had a really rough thing with his parents there, and obviously the excuse is, oh yeah, they wanted to go get some food. They're in fucking New York, they can go fucking anywhere! There's no reason for them to go back to the party and just make it awkward. It's literally just the writers just didn't know how to make the fucking parents meet Gwen, because they wanted to do the first name
gag, dude. That part was so funny, they had to do it.
Yeah, that was really, really dumb. Alright, so those are the early parts of the movie, and that the rest is the latter half where they meet the Spider-Verse people, and this is where it really starts going off the rails for me, where I started having a lot of criticism. I'm not a huge fan of the way they told Miles about the Canada event. I think it's pretty fucking retarded. They didn't even need to tell him about it. Just let him I'm just going to go into a solution here as what they could have done. They just could have let him trial being part of their, organization or something for a bit and just let the Canada event happen. And then, you know, he can come back and be like, oh shit, the fucking can event happened. Oops, and now they tell him about it. And then it's not a non-issue. It already happened. They avoid that, and he also knows about it. And then they can maybe like kick him out of the fucking Spider-Verse team afterward. I don't know. It just seemed like they were trying to like force a conflict. I feel like there was a lot of better ways they could have went around telling him about this like massive thing than just immediately antagonizing him and locking him in a fucking cage. But obviously maybe that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to show that he's a little incompetent. He's just kind of a dick.
I mean, like, they never intended him to like ever actually be there is the big thing though. Like, he kind of just ended up showing up because he was chasing after Gwen and shit.
True, but they didn't have to tell him right then and there.
But he also like just witnessed a universe starting to end because he saved somebody and he prevented a canon event.
Fair enough. Anyways, going on. The big thing I have a problem with is the fucking chase scene is stupid and fucking dumb. I think it's pretty bullshit to assume that this guy, Miles, first time he's ever been in this facility, is able to escape it with, you know, hundreds of spider people, you know, trained professionals in it, all trying to catch him. You're telling me that none of them could catch one fucking dude when there's hundreds of them? And they're all, of course, you know, trained superheroes you could assume are on a relatively similar, if not better level than Miles himself. I don't know how the fuck that's physically possible.
It's because all the spider people are minorities and women, dude. That's why they couldn't catch him. None of them are fast enough.
Also, of course, he could have just turned invisible and it would have been a non-issue. He could have just been invisible from the fucking start, and it just wouldn't have happened at all.
It seems to be implied, so is invisibility like truly unique to him?
Yes.
Interesting.
Anyways, going on, everybody was like clambering, trying to figure out where the fuck he went when he teleported. Everybody just kind of assumed he went to the right place. It literally showed on a monitor. Like, it showed him what dimension he was being sent to. You tell me they don't have any logging information of like where he got sent to? They could have just been like, oh shit, he got sent to fucking dimension 44. Let's go and capture him there, or just like leave him there to let him, I don't know, let him fucking be stuck in there for a while.
Out till he dies.
Yeah, and just let the fucking can event happen and just have this be a non-issue whatsoever.
That does kind of tie into, like, an issue that I have. Like, why does the black hologram woman, like, why the fuck is she helping them out at the end of the movie? And, like, why is she just, like, pals with, like, you know, Miles' friends or whatever the fuck, you know?
Because they're both black.
She gave him that look, you know? She thought he was hot or something.
Yeah, like, I
think it's literally just, like, he kind of flirted with her.
Yeah, like, they don't ever really have, like, any sort of, like, a conversation that would, like, make her become endeared to him or anything like that. She doesn't really seem to be particularly close to, like, any of his friends, so, like, she kind of just ends up helping him for some reason. And, like,
I think it's...
When fucking, like, when he was getting teleported to, like, the other dimension, like, she saw, like, where he was going to, so I assume, like, well, why didn't she, like, you know, stop it or whatever? Oh, okay, he's, like, somewhere else now. I guess that she, like, knew that he was going not to where he was supposed to, so she was like, yeah, fuck this guy or some shit like that.
Yeah, that's actually valid as fuck, because she literally was, like, assumed to, like, be helping him and all this, but she literally saw him being teleported to the wrong fucking dimension.
Yeah.
Maybe she didn't know what his right
Yeah, I don't
was.
think we can assume she knows exactly which dimension is his. I think it's even more wild. Like, I can kind of rationalize this one with, like, she saw how scary Miguel was being, so she's like, I don't want Miguel to literally kill this kid right now, so I'll let him get away. I think it's far more wild when at the end of the movie it's showing, like, the team Gwen has assembled and she's there with them.
Yeah.
Like, that's even an extra level of, like, we don't know you like that.
Yeah.
And then the last two you guys, I think, will probably agree with me on. The last 30 minutes of the movie are like a fucking edging session for, like, the sequel, basically. It's just constantly building up towards ending, and it just takes fucking forever. Just build up scene, build up scene, build up scene. Super annoying.
Yeah, I think that is the movie's biggest flaw for me personally. The pacing during, like, the last section of the film is just so fucking wacky. Like, there was another film that we watched previous. Oh, it was Joker. With Joker, it had a very similar issue where it was like, it didn't really seem like it knew where it wanted to end the movie. And so we just keep getting these sections where it's like, okay, the movie's ending. No, never mind. There's another scene. Okay, here it is. No, never mind. I don't know. It was really off.
Yeah.
Sequel bait, sequel bait. Anyways, we're on to my very final last thing I wrote down. That being that I thought the cliffhanger ending of Miles being the Prowler was incredibly obvious to me. Like, we saw him getting teleported back to his previous dimension. This is also the exact same thought. Obviously, I've watched this movie twice, and I had the exact same thought when I was first watching it. Are we really that shocked? I feel like it's not really that surprising that... Oh no,
People do act like
Miles...
it's way more surprising.
No way, Miles is the villain in an alternate dimension where there's infinite amounts of possibilities and he's the villain? No way, that's crazy! No, who fucking cares? Also, we literally saw him doing his, like, Sparky bit at the very end, so there's gonna be, like, a tiny little fight probably at the start of the second or third movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
it references that part where, like, you know, Miles had chained up Peter to a punching bag, and Miles is gonna make some quip about, like, you always gotta watch the hands, you know, in the next film.
Yeah, it's like they try to, like, play it off as, like, oh no, what could happen to Miles? But obviously he's gonna, like, probably low diff get out of the situation. It's not gonna be much of an issue.
I mean,
I think Gwen's gonna fucking save him.
I don't know. I don't feel like there's much of a point to really harp on for me personally.
That's just a nitpick. Yeah, honestly, I just personally didn't think the ending was really that much of a cliffhanger. I thought it was kind of stupid.
Yeah, for me, what I just don't really understand is, like, I don't know, why does this alternate dimension Miles, like, not like this Miles, you know? Like, why is he, like, so, like, I'm gonna murder you or some shit like that, you know?
Why the immediate hostility?
Yeah.
Anyways,
he's just that evil, you know?
Yeah, I guess so. He's real fucked up now. All right, Blake, what is your one-sentence review of this film?
Yeah, you've literally contributed nothing to this review thus far. What do you think about it?
I mean, I kind of agree with all your guys' points. Like, I mean, overall it was good, but, yeah, like, the ending was a little bit, like, vague, and, like, how it kept seeming like it was about to end, and then it, like, kind of kept giving you those, like, kind of like psych cliffhanger kind of things, but and then when it finally did end, it was kind of like, you know, it kind of took the, like, the initial, like, excitement out of it.
Very true. Speaking of taking the excitement out of it...
Hold on a second.
Yeah, what's up, Tanner?
I'm not ready to go to the rankings yet. I just got one last question for you guys.
Okay.
When we see, you know, the second part, do you think we're gonna walk away from it being like, okay, these should have been 2 parts, or are we gonna walk away from it being like, I kind of wish they waited an extra year and made it a 3-hour-long super movie?
I think it's gonna be, I wish this was a big mega movie.
I think I'm gonna walk away being satisfied with it. I'm going under the assumption that the next movie is also going to be, like, fucking 2 hours or some shit like that, so... Like, you know, I don't want to sit through, like, fucking 4 hours of a movie, alright?
Yeah. I do also want to shout out Miguel. I think he's a really good character.
Yeah.
I agree. I think he's got a cool design, too. I think he's fun.
He's
Anyways,
really
to
cool.
kick us off with the rankings here, cutting off Nico, Blake, what did you think of the first Spider-Verse movie? Not this one, but the first one.
I think I'd give the first one an easy A.
An easy A.
What do you mean
flat
an A, Blake? Before you said you were giving the first one, like, an S tier.
Did he?
Yeah, when we were in the car the other day.
I don't remember saying that. I thought you said something
Yeah,
like
on
A,
the
and you're like, hold
Guapish
on a second.
scale, where are you slapping it?
S plus being like, it's a perfect masterpiece movie. F minus being like, this is fucking horrible and I never want to see it again.
I'm gonna stick with an A for it.
Okay, what about the second movie, Blake? What about the second movie?
The second one, I'm gonna have to go B.
A B. Rave reviews here, boys. Rave reviews, and that's what we have Blake on. He's the new leader in losses here, as they say.
Dylan gave this one a fucking, what did he give this one? An S+.
Unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
I wish he was here to talk about this one. I want to hear him defend that rank.
Yeah, I legitimately am very curious about his rank as well.
Yeah. Tanner, how about you, though?
I need to think about my rank more. Can I hear your guys's, please?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and give this one an A tier. Like, I still think it's a phenomenal film. It doesn't breach into the S's at all for me, but, like, you know.
A tier is fucking crazy given how much shit I've talked about this movie, and I gave it an A+. I was definitely thinking you were going to give it, like, an S- minimum.
No.
Holy shit.
Like, I
That's
feel like
crazy.
the big part for me is that, like, there really isn't, like, an emotional crux of this film that really hooks me like the first one does.
That's fair enough. This is definitely not nearly as much of an emotional movie as the first one.
Yeah.
Like, they had the little bit with, like, the Gwen relationship with her dad, but that was really all about that. I mean, there's, like, a little bit of drama with his parents, too, but it really was not nearly as strong as the stuff in the first movie.
Yeah.
Damn, this is hard as fuck. Man. It's nowhere near as strong as the first one. The story has a lot of little things here and there.
But still a really solid film, man.
And it's not a complete film. No, the two rankings I was bouncing in between are higher than both of your guys's. So I really. So now I'm like, am I falling out of the S tier? And it's the longest anime movie ever. It's still.
Is this going to be our longest review ever?
Potentially.
We've been talking about it for fucking forever, it feels like.
Yeah.
We sure have. Fuck, dude. Oh my god.
Blake, let me just ask you real quick here, dude. Do you just not like movies very much?
Oh my gosh.
No, I like movies. I just don't watch like a whole lot in general, but I guess.
Blake,
Like,
what would be an S tier movie to you?
I can't think of one off the top of my head.
How about a better question for you, Blake? Do you think that Mixed Nuts is a better movie than Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, aka the second Spider-Verse movie?
I wouldn't say that. I mean,
But you gave it a higher score than this one.
I mean, like maybe just like for me personally, like.
Well, yeah, this is entirely your view on the movie. So don't answer what you think objectively. Think what you are thinking. That's the whole point of this. Do you think Mixed Nuts is a better movie in your eyes than Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse?
I mean, it depends on what you're looking for, right?
I'm
what are
asking
you
you the
looking
question,
for?
bro. You're looking at
Yeah,
this.
like
This is
yeah,
your
like to me
review.
it's better, but like.
Okay, that's all we want. That's all I wanted to see.
So if that's the case, Blake, then shouldn't you like maybe boost your rating a little bit?
Like I wouldn't say that it's a better movie. Like that's entirely different from like I enjoyed it more.
Yeah, you can write these movies however the fuck you want. I'm just trying to make sure at least you're like consistent with it. Yeah, like if you think you would still agree that Mixed Nuts rates higher on your list than Spider-Verse, that's all I was looking for.
Yeah, for me personally, but like.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine then. That's all I was looking for.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Looking at my previous rankings, I am gonna go and give it the S minus.
All right.
And there we go. And that puts it at an A plus, so it's still a very respectable ranking.
We're gonna get killed in the quote tweets, man. We're gonna get fucking slaughtered.
You're fumbling, dude.
The big question though, Jackson, did
Yes.
Blake's rating?
Yes.
It did.
Yes. It's now S tier.
Can we change Blake's rating?
Can we change Blake's rating? Can you convince him?
Now, Blake, let me ask you this, dude. Spider-Man starts with an S, does it not?
That it does.
So doesn't it deserve to be in the S tier?
I mean, yeah, like if you want to look at it that way.
And like also, Blake, like fucking Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, dude. Like how many movies do you feel like are out there that are actually better than it?
I don't know. It's a loaded question.
Base? Get shut down the turn?
That's a loaded question. You know, what do you mean by is? What do you mean by movies? What do you mean by better?
Fair enough, Blake. I don't think that
Wait, so you're saying Into the Spider-Verse is being dropped out of S plus?
Yes, it's now S tier. Go ahead and start your defense against it, Tanner. If you're trying to convince him.
There's no defense I can offer. I have a feeling he is impervious to arguments.
All I'm saying is that just got me in one extra green check mark, baby.
It sure is.